Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Matias Sports Podcast, episode 19. I got play-by-play broadcaster with me, Jack Hunter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Ken. I'm really glad to be on with you today. This has been in the works for a little bit, so I'm glad we can make it happen.
No, I appreciate you coming on. I mean, obviously, I met you last year when you were, interning with the Gatemen in the 2023 season. So, I appreciate you coming on, as I just said, and tell the world and the folks a little bit about yourself and what you're into and your past experiences at your young age, I should say.
Yeah, so I'm obviously interested in sports. That's why I'm on the Ken Sports Podcast today. Currently, right now, I'm a graduate assistant at a Division III school in East Texas. It's called East Texas Baptist. In my role as a graduate assistant for the athletic department, I do play-by-play for most all the sports, and then I do like stories, multimedia stories for them as well. So on the website, video stories, interviews, you name it. I'll probably do it. I just graduated from another Division III school, Washington and Lee University, in May. So this is my first like big boy job. And yeah, I've worked with a few schools while I was in college. I worked with Washington and Lee, where I went to school, and then a Division I school across the street, Virginia Military Institute. And then I met you, Ken, while I was in college, as you mentioned, working for the Gatemen, which was
Yeah.
such a fun experience up in the Cape Baseball League. So I've been kind of all over the place. Sports has taken me to Texas, Virginia, Georgia. So just blessed to be here, and it's been a fun ride. And I'm only 22, so we'll see where it takes me.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Congratulations on recently graduating within the past few months. And I know, obviously, the thing that stinks out to me is you're so successful at 22. I mean, you're working for a local college. You've been all over the place, like you just mentioned. But the Gatemen, I mean, you guys did great last year. I mean, you guys had, I should say, like a good play-by-play. Obviously Aiden, yourself, Braden, Amanda. I remember shooting her sideline hits, obviously, because I was always on the first base side for cable access. So, everybody was really, really friendly during the Gateman season. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. It is what it is, but they kind of had a down year for Coach Smite's first season, but they kind of bounced back this year and then they got bounced. But if you want to elaborate about your experience in the Cape Cod League and how great of a league is, go for it.
Yeah, Ken. I mean, it. I didn't really know what to expect. It was one of those things where, kind of the beginning of my junior year of college, I was kind of thinking like, okay, well, what do I want to do for this upcoming summer? And I just had this thought. I was like, a lot of people that I follow, like they go to the Cape Baseball League.
Yeah.
I came from a school where like nobody, like it's a small journalism school, like we're not a Syracuse pipeline to the Cape, so I didn't really know anybody up there. So I basically just compiled some of my best announcing from the year before, and I just sent it to all 10 teams. I was like, we'll just see what happens, and things ended up working out well with Wareham. So I basically didn't really know that much coming up. Like I'd never been up to the Cape before. I've never been to Massachusetts. But it was such a great thing for my broadcasting career, because we did like 44 or 45 games.
Yep.
And it's obviously such a grind. Like there were points in the season where I was just like, man, I just would love a day off. Like
Yeah.
and so that was kind of my first reality of like wanting to kind of pump the brakes on announcing a little bit when I
hmm
previously up until then was like I just want more games, and I'm like 30 games and like I've had a lot of games. Um, but it was a great experience, like to learn how to push through that, and just I got so much better too. You do something for like 50, 45, 50 days straight, whatever it is, you're gonna get better at it.
hmm
Um, and then in terms of like personally, it was such a fun experience. I was just thinking the other day with the MLB draft and then seeing some of these guys start off in the minor leagues, like all these first
I
round,
called
second
their
round, third round
games.
picks. Yeah, as I call their games. Like I met some of them.
Yep.
I at least called some of their games. Like I called them hitting homers, striking out, making great plays. And so that's something that like is just going to be like a gift that keeps on giving, because it's going to be like, all right, well, like Bazana, first overall pick, like that's cool. But like when he makes his major league debut, I'll be like, I call that guy's game. And then, if he becomes an all star, so I think it's just such a cool experience. It'll be something that I'll remember for a lifetime.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I think you were part of them this year and then you left for this gig.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so I
you, like
was
a quarter of the season if you want to talk about that too.
yeah, well, so I was supposed to go back this summer, and Jay Spinelli and Ryan Smythe gave me a great opportunity to be assistant general manager. But then And so before the season began, I was doing a lot of like paperwork stuff, just making sure like the contracts have been signed, the T's been crossed, the I's have
Hmm.
been dotted, like making sure people are paying. But then I was dealing with some troubles, and then some personal stuff going on. I didn't actually end up going up there because then also this kind of started happening as well with my job. So I was really like unfortunate. I really wish I could have gone up there this summer. But I was appreciative that they at least let me help out in the preseason. I was following along all summer, but I wasn't able to make it up there. But I was happy to follow along and see that they were doing well.
I believe a few episodes ago I had Kyle Marshak and Ethan, I think I hope I'm saying it right. Two nice gentlemen, great play-by-play broadcasters. I don't know a crap ton about them, but I did listen to some of the broadcasts on YouTube because they went their own little route this year. They didn't deal with cable access. I was told that like months ago, and I'm like, hey, like I panned it out with them. The gentleman by the name of Sock Shots, I forget his name. I always draw a blank on his name. He was a super nice guy to take over the broadcast. And you remember his name? I'm drawing a blank on
Yeah,
his
and
name.
Andrew Duffy.
Andrew Duffy, yes, thank you. I always got to be reminded of that name, but I did meet him last year, and he did, a nice job with obviously the broadcasting crew and whoever did the sideline hits and stuff like that. So, did you have a chance to speak to them? Because I think I might have mentioned it to Kyle and Ethan. I might have mentioned you to them.
To Kyle and Ethan.
Yeah. Did you have a
Yeah,
chance to
I had
like speak or social media?
Yeah, I followed both of them throughout the summer. I had a chance to speak with Ethan a little bit. He was at the beginning of the season. He was kind of asking me about some stuff. I was
Mm-hmm.
telling him like some advice. And then it's funny. The last day of the season, they were playing Falmouth. Braden was
Yeah.
at Splay, and so so Ethan's old team that he worked for in Texas, there was a guy who took over his job as assistant general manager for the Alpine team, and he was at the Cape for that last game. And Braden saw him like that's Jack Hunter's lookalike. And so I got a text from Ethan that was like the picture of this guy and was like, Braden is making me send this to you. This guy is a Texan and he looks just like you. And I can confirm he does look a lot like me. So although I was not able to be there this summer, at least somebody resembling me was able to make it for the last game, which was kind of funny. But yeah, I hate that I wasn't able to make it up there this summer because the people at the organization are first class, but life happens, and I'm excited of where I'm at right now.
No, absolutely. I mean, good things happen to good people. And, the little I've known you within the past year, obviously, we've talked here and there. It's just great to see you guys be all successful. I mean, from you to Amanda to Ethan, Kyle. I mean, I asked them, they're probably not going to return next year. Ethan and Kyle, they're looking for bigger and better things. Amanda got a nice little gig I seen with the Indianapolis coach. She's like a reporter with the Colts.
Yeah,
So it's, I see everybody going in their every way, which direction and stuff like that. And Braden came back and, I had him on the podcast too. I talked to him over the summer. I texted with him and it seems like he was having a blast, obviously things would have came back with Wareham and this and that, but he chose Falmouth. So I see why. But, person that I did bring up a little while ago, Aiden, do you keep in contact with him? Like, how's he been doing? Good.
he's been doing good. He was in Falmouth with Braden this summer.
Braden.
I feel like that was yeah. I think that was a cool. That's a cool thing about working with people on the Cape is that they're people you only know for like a few months, but they're people that you keep in touch with because you spent so much time together and you have a lot of shared memories from that summer. So whenever like whenever Aiden or I see a Gateman player doing something or just see something Cape related, we'll usually kind of catch up about that when we can. So uh, been good keeping in touch with Braden and Aiden and just the rest of our media team from that year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's good that you guys are like a tight knit group because I could see that from going to the games, working the games for cable access. You guys just got all along. You guys were having fun, all the good things. But talk about more like I want to shift gears here from the Cape to your career because obviously I'm interviewing you here. But yeah, I mean, where could you see yourself? I know you're only 22. Like, what's your long-term goal? Would it be staying in the college ranks, or do you want to go to like pro ball, minor leagues? Do you want to go to another league, another sport? Like, where do you see yourself within the next maybe 5 to 7 years if
Yeah,
everything
that I
works
mean,
out?
yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think the sports industry is really like unpredictable, and a lot of the time you just kind of got to take what you can get.
Mhm.
So I think keeping that in mind. So I don't really know for sure because I think some of it is a little like I think you need to have a plan for the future, but I think some of it is a little unnecessary at some point because like you just can't control where you're at. You just got to kind of hopefully like know the right people and get in front of the right people. But I think I would love to stay in the college ranks. I there's something about college athletics, even with all this madness that's going on, that really appeals to me. I like the opportunity to work with multiple teams, do multiple different sports, and then I like the college calendar a little bit better too. Being on a campus is really fun. Then also kind of going from August to May is nice for me. So I really like the college scene. If I get a good opportunity in pro ball or doing something, or doing something else other than play by play, or doing podcasting or interviewing or whatever I'm doing, then that's something I'll look into. I think I would love to stay in the college ranks and hopefully be the voice of the team. I think that'd be kind of the long term goal.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, would you want to stick with the broadcasting route? You kind of want to be behind the scenes, like almost like a perfect example would probably be Braden. I mean, that kid can do everything. So,
Yeah, I think my talent and what I enjoy doing is in front of the camera. I think I I don't mean to like hype myself, but like I think my biggest strengths are like entertaining, kind of be witty, like, and then educating. So I think those are two things that work really well for doing play by play because you just got to be kind of on the fly, know the right things to say, know how to like keep the audience there, but also like educate the audience about who the players are, what the teams are, why is this game important. So I think those are a few things that make me really love broadcasting and doing play by play. But as you know, Ken, doing play by play, just doing play by play is not really something that like a lot of people can get away with doing for a career. You get
that's
kind of like
true.
maybe the MLB guys, NBA guys, NFL guys, and like the no Eagle guy, that
Oh,
you
you
had on
seen that?
show.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
super
yeah,
nice kid for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
Noah
supporter
School.
of the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's so those like there's not that many guys out there that can just do play by play. I think if I could do that, like I would love to do that. But I think uh, especially these days with all the content that you can make, I think that's something that play by play guys like have to get
Hmm.
into. So interviewing, podcasting, storytelling, like video packages, writing. So those are all things that I'm trying to stay fresh at. Those are things that I enjoy too. So I'm getting a good opportunity to do it here, which is something I'm really appreciative of.
No, I'm glad you brought up the play-by-play broadcasting because I got a taste of it with, the local Wareham High School. It's tough. I mean, I
Yeah.
love to do it, but I was like more of a co-host with Matt, the PA announcer for the Gatemen last year, or you did it this year too. Super nice guy. So it was between me, him, and then obviously our boss Christian and stuff. And I'm like, I think one time, once or twice, I had to do it solo, and it's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of high school basketball. I may not know the ins and outs of the NBA, but I got a decent knowledge of most of the sports. But yeah, it's definitely not easy, and obviously it's nerve-wracking. Even calling just a high school game, it's like I thought it was like the world. I'm like, all right, it's not the NFL, it's not college, whatever, but it's still tough for sure. I mean, and I feel like most of the time, I mean, obviously maybe you guys practice, you guys got better insights than I do, but doing it, it's just I feel like I was gonna say I was winging it, but it was just more tough. I mean, not knowing
Yeah.
the high school ranks enough, it's like, all right, I know the kids' names, I know basically basic basketball, but it's just feels like an NFL thing. It's like, oh, I can just dive right in and do it, but that's not how it works. You got to start from the high school to the college to yada yada yada. But Yeah, definitely the broadcasting industry is evolving. It's tough to stay busy 24/7, but when you got like the Noah Eagles of the world and the Joe Bucks that can probably do baseball and football and maybe other things. I know Joe Buck's known for baseball and football since I've grown up, but I mean, it's cool to get on the media side too, working in athletics, and I'm glad you're really doing well at that. I mean, so hopefully it'll work out for you. I wish you nothing but the best with that. But I do want to talk about the state of Texas. It's a big football state.
Yeah.
How's the people down there between the Cowboys and Texas Longhorns, A&M? I know you're at a D3 school, but shifting gears to where you currently live, how is it down there? Just a different world?
Yeah, I mean, it is a different world. So I grew up in Atlanta, which is a big city.
Hmm.
I went to college at Lexington, Virginia, which is a small rural town in Southwest Virginia. And then here coming to East Texas uh, is pretty rural spot. I'm pretty close to the Louisiana border, so
Oh, okay.
as you know, Texas is really huge.
It is.
So I'm about 2.5, 3 hours east of Dallas. So I'm real on the east side of Texas. So there's like speaking on behalf of Texas in general is something that I'm probably not comfortable doing. But in terms of East Texas, people are awesome here. They're super nice. The
That's
school
good.
that I work at is a super kind of faith filled school and just a really like just friendly people. And then the town that I'm in, Marshall, Texas, is like population, 20, 25,000, very small, but it's like very very cozy. The food is great in Texas. Uh, it's wonderful, and it's nice not having to worry about traffic. And to walk to a lot of places. So Texas in general is really good. I mean, it is really hot here this time of the year, though, and
Hmm.
we'll give you that. I mean, it was like 94, 95, and a humid
Jeez.
94, 95 today. So, and that's apparently that's not even that bad for this time of the year too, because it was up in the hundreds like last week.
Wow, that kind of reminds me of Florida because that gets humid and hot and rainy and sticky and crappy. So, I mean that's good, being near the Louisiana border, obviously. Being out and about, obviously you've been there what a few months, if that.
I've been here for a few weeks, beginning
Few
of
weeks.
August. Yeah, it
Oh,
was when I here.
I don't know if you've enjoyed like a night out of the town or whatever, but do you see a lot of like Rangers fans, Astros fans, maybe some Saints fans, Cowboy? What do you see down there? Is it like Florida, like big into college sports more than anything else, or? I know you've only been there a
Yeah.
few weeks.
I mean, I think I'm definitely in kind of the small town area where high school football is a huge thing.
Yep.
Everybody loves their high school football down here. There are a lot of Rangers fans and some Astros fans that I've come across since we're not that close to Dallas or Houston. We're kind of like we're farther from Houston, but still multiple hours away from both of them. So you get a kind of a mix of both of them. A lot of Cowboys fans here. But I would say the town also supports our school pretty well. I'd say in the small town, it's kind of a different atmosphere than the big city, and that like which is something that I really enjoy is that the people in the town really like support the teams that are there. Um, and so obviously people cheer for their pro teams and Texas and Rangers, Cowboys, but we have a lot of support for our school and a lot of support for the high schools nearby, which is something that's pretty cool.
No, that's good. Even the locals too, like for their kids or, the former alum, like they're really big in the community too. Like, is it like a deep community? Like, there's a big high school rivalry game. Like, is it going to be like a sold out thing, do you think? You're going to envision in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the kind of the general area in the county that we're at, the high school football scene. I mean, Texas high school football in general is just massive, but
It is.
I think that's where people flock on to on a Friday night, and that's where a lot of the media coverage goes. But I think you live in a kind of a college town, and a lot of the people that live in the town, work at the school. Generally, this how it was at when where I went to school, and then now a lot of people that live in Marshall work at ETBU. So there's just a lot of support, and then ETBU's partnered with a lot of with downtown to trying to spruce it up a little bit. So we own a lot of property downtown to participate in some economic development opportunities. So I think the town and the college are kind of intertwined a bit. And it was just seeing especially too, since a lot of our student athletes are from places that aren't too far from here, how much support they get. So we get a lot of like fans at our games, which is something that was not something that I always kind of experienced where I went to school. So it's something that's really cool that I've been able to see just in the scrimmages that we've had so far.
Yeah, because you guys are heading into the fall season, so you got football, soccer too on tap, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So
Um,
football, men's and women's soccer, volleyball, um, got bass fishing and an ice hockey team.
yeah, all
We
right,
got
bass fishing.
got cheer and pom.
Hmm.
We got a lot of different sports. I'm trying to and golf. Golf will be playing too.
In the
Um,
fall?
yeah, we play like all college golf is a little bit year round. We play in the fall and then kind of in the spring. It's kind of the NCAA calendar for that.
Being from the Northeast, golfing a thing. I mean, golf is a thing if for many people, if retired or non-retired people, but people do play till probably November, December. But as far as like college or high school, that's more of like a spring right before the school's out, basically, up here. From
Yeah,
obviously you experience the summer up here, but the winters are it's been better, but it's been kind of mediocre sometimes too. But
yeah.
no, that's good. I mean, you're gonna be doing all that stuff for all the sports and stuff like that, right? All like helping out in athletics because that's basically a job. So are you gonna do like basically like game recaps, get stuff going, make sure people are paid too, like referees and stuff like that? Are you in charge of that or?
Yeah, so something that's really something that I enjoy about working in athletic department is I've really gotten to see like a lot of the behind the scenes atmospheres of things. So when I was in college, I was more just kind of like a broadcaster. So I'd show up to the games and go home.
Yeah.
Um, for the most part, I did some more sports information stuff with BMI later in my college days. But um, so basically, like, I've gotten to see a lot of different stuff. So I'm working in like the athletic communications office inside of the athletic department. So as you mentioned, like I'm gonna be doing a lot of different stuff. So game
Yeah.
recaps, something I'll be doing. Like public address announcing.
Oh
Obviously, a lot
wow.
of my job is play by. A lot of my job is play by play announcing.
That's cool.
And then all the stuff that comes with that, like setting it up, making sure like the graphics are looking good, making
Yep.
sure the camera's in the right spot, the tech works. But then we have a lot of kind of innovative like ideas in terms of content. My boss does a really good job of staying kind of like hip with the trends and what people want to see. And so each of the people that work in my office kind of have like a specialty, and so we are all kind of making content that I think honestly is some of the best in Division 3 and really in small college athletics. And that's a big credit to my boss who has hired some great people and supports us doing that. And then also just the administration. I think something that really impresses me about being at ETBU is how like how well communication is from my boss to the athletic director to the president of the school. Like they're all on the same page in terms of importance of the work that we do and like supporting the work that we do and investing in the work that we do. Um, and so, yeah, obviously we stay busy and I'll do a lot of different things, but it's work that I'm proud of and work that I think will serve me well later. And I think it'll serve like our audience well, parents, recruits, student athletes. That's really what athletic communication is about. It's about promoting our athletic department to whoever's out there. And then that can really help with recruiting, retention, with raising like money for the school, and that's just what we're here to do.
So on a normal work week, you'll probably work 40 plus hours, I'm assuming, with all that good stuff you got going on between during the day, afternoon, night, games, this and that, maybe events you'll be a part of too.
Yeah, it's about 40, sometimes more, sometimes less. I got a weekend on my calendar this upcoming weekend, which will be busy, but the weekend after that, we've got football, volleyball, invitational, men's and women. I mean, we've got everything under the moon. So I might not sleep very much that weekend.
Oh,
But
jeez.
yeah, but the my boss does a good job of letting us kind of take time when we need it, which is good, especially when we work a lot on the weekends.
That's
But
good.
I'm working about like sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. But then I'm
Hmm.
also I'm also actually in my master's degree right now too, which takes up a little bit of my time.
Oh,
So I gotta,
congrats. That's awesome.
yeah. So I gotta focus on that too. So that'll take some of my work hours away
Are you doing
sometimes.
that at your were you graduated or the school now?
I'm doing it at school now.
Okay, that's cool.
That's part of my role as a graduate assistant. Is it's actually it's a great thing for me to do out of school, and that I'll be here for a year to 2 years and work for them, and then I will also get my master's degree. I gotta earn it obviously, but um, that's part of my package here. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to completing.
I'm sure you'll have no problem getting that. I mean, if you're 22 now, by 24, 25, you could probably go anywhere and work for anybody, you know? I mean, obviously things can change in 2 to 3 years, but just keep it on the right path. And I'm really happy for you. Like you're so successful. I mean, jumping around different places like you mentioned, and I mean, that's good stuff for sure. And keep continuing about the school. Is it a lot of locals that like go to the school, or is it a lot of outside kids from all over the country, world, or even like in your department? Is it a bunch of local people that grew up in Texas and they know a lot about your school?
Yeah, there's I'd say a heavy majority of the at least the student athletes that and I know this about the student athletes because I interact with them and put them up on the website and stuff like that. A
Hmm.
heavy majority are coming from Texas. A lot of them are coming from East Texas area, not necessarily Marshall, but East Texas area. We got a lot of obviously Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, some of the bigger cities in Texas as well. We got some people from Shreveport, Louisiana, too, which is like 30 minutes east of here. And that's honestly most of the people that work here too are from Texas or have been in Texas for a while. So I was definitely the outsider coming in, which is something that's obviously difficult, but it's been cool for me to meet a whole bunch of new people that I've never met before, and that are Texans through and through. And I've been here for a few weeks. I'm just trying to pick up everything that I can.
Is the standard around Texas the cowboy boots and basically the cowboy hat?
Yes, I've seen a lot of cowboy boots. I've seen a lot of cowboy hats. I will say, like, I probably haven't seen as much of it being on a college campus where, at our school, it's I think about like 50% of the students are student athletes. So a lot of people in their ETBU athletic skiers. I don't see too much of it, but when I go out on town or I see like people at work at the school, it's definitely a thing here. So I gotta get my wardrobe stepped up a little bit, Ken. I'm still culturally adjusting to being here.
Oh, it's definitely, I mean, if you're from the South, I mean, you're from Atlanta, so obviously it's a little bit of a
Yeah.
culture change, but you're still in the South being in Texas. I mean, how's the accents with people too, like around school and the people you work with? Is it got that hard accent, which having the South accent, I like that stuff, hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that different. Honestly, like uh, culturally, I think, especially because like East Texas and where I am is kind of a smaller town. I think it kind of suits me well. Like it's not as much of like a transition coming from a college town that obviously was like in a different part of the country, but has kind of similar norms, similar values. So honestly, I love being here. Love living in Marshall. So it's been a great transition. Obviously, wherever you move, you're not just working, you're living there too, and you got
Yeah.
to find stuff to do outside of work and
Hmm.
uh, it's not all work. So um, I've been enjoying just being here and getting to know about this area. So that's cool.
So you have your own, like, I know you must be in an apartment. Is it like off campus, close to campus?
Yeah, they're on campus, which is cool.
Oh, that's
And the
cool.
housing, yeah, the housing here, facilities here are great. And my room, my apartment is 5 minute walk from like basically everything, right? And the smack dab. I mean, I'm like 2 minutes from Chick-fil-A here on campus, which is great.
Oh, nothing wrong with
So
that.
yeah, it's been great. I mean, my boss Adam and his boss Ryan. I mean, they've been doing everything they can to make me feel comfortable here, which has been awesome. It's been so cool. That's kind of one of the main reasons why I wanted to come here is like I got this, they really wanted me, and I could see what they were doing here. So it just made me excited about being a part of it. And ever since I got here, it's been the same message. They're supporting me really well, and yeah, so I'm just proud to be a EQU Tiger and proud to work here.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that's a good story. You seem like you're surrounded by good people, including yourself. So, I did want to talk about, I know you're still new there. Is there any famous alum that's in, that I might have heard of, you heard of, that rings a bell in any kind of sport or even at the college level that like, hey, I'd like to meet this person. And maybe they went to, D3, D2, and then they went to a D1 school. But do you know any like famous, like maybe sports athlete alum, men or women from your school?
We've had three players that have been drafted into the MLB,
Oh, wow. Okay.
but or drafted in the draft, but I don't believe we've had anybody make their MLB debut yet. Um, Football wise, we resumed playing football in 2000 after a kind of like a break in the 20th century. So we're still kind of a relatively young program in the 21st century. Um, so not any like athletes off the top of my head that I can really ring a bell about. There's some you know famous alumni per se locally, like people that are well known locally, but none to my knowledge are like national celebrities.
Oh yeah, I was just curious because sometimes those D3 schools turn into like D1 superstars and it's like, hey, like that's great for the kids. But no,
Yeah,
like I said, you're definitely in a good situation and I'm glad to see you doing well. It's like it's crazy. Just 1 year removed from the Gateman and look where you are. You're in Texas.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
it's it's crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just say too, like, I think something that's been big for me is just like enjoying where you're at. I mean, I think a lot of people like they're like, oh, I want to be NFL, I want to be MLB, and if like it's not nothing's wrong, nothing is wrong about like dreaming big and everything like
Yeah.
that. But like if that's your only goal, and I don't think you'll really like appreciate where you're at in the present. So that's something that like I've really been trying to do. And so obviously like where I went to school was a Division 3 school. We weren't the biggest school. Where I worked, like VMI, small Division 1 school. We didn't have the Division 1 resources that everybody else did. And here at ETBU, uh, once again, a great D3 school, but it's a Division 3 school, and it's not Alabama. But I think I'm just trying to enjoy every step of the ride, wherever it is, whether it's high school, college, whoever I'm working for, just really digging into that and really appreciating where I'm at. And that's something that I would say to anybody out there is like, don't discredit your accomplishments because it's high school or just because it's like youth league or whatever like that. Because you're just doing yourself a disservice. Like anytime you can do work for anybody, that's cool. So some of my best memories are games that nobody's ever heard of. So I think yeah, I didn't mean to go on the soapbox here, but
No, no,
that's just
that's
something I'll put in
awesome.
there.
Keep going.
Yeah, yeah,
No, no, it's definitely great. I mean, obviously, like you said, everybody wants to dream big, man. I've been dreaming big since I was probably 10, 12, 14 years old. Like, I'm like, damn, I'll never make it. But to have connections into the industry and like, I've talked to like so many people and I've met people too. And, big reason why like I got my ass in gear was thanks to my wife. She made me not be a bum anymore. So I really appreciate her I appreciate her, I should say, just kicking me in the ass and just telling me like get your life together. But obviously I'm not where I want to be goal wise, career wise yet, but maybe I'll get there by 50. I don't know. I still got another 20 years ahead of me, so we'll see. But I mean, good to see you doing well. If you got any last minute things, you want to throw the social out, you want to throw your LinkedIn out, go for it. Feel free to give this kid a follow because he's a really young and upcoming broadcaster journalist. He can do it all.
yeah. So Twitter is or X Jack Hunter PXP, and then I think I'm just Jack Hunter on LinkedIn, so you can give me a follow there. It's been great having you on or being on your show, I should say.
Hey, that's fine
And I'll
having
just
me on. If you ever do a podcast, I'll come on.
yeah, I'll leave it this. I mean, I think something that I learned a lot about being in the sports industry too is like, um, gotta like gotta know your worth too. I think it's really easy to like the conditions for sports sometimes are interesting in that like it's it's quite interesting. Like if you took the sports conditions and turned it to any other industry, like it wouldn't be able to happen. Like you can't just like have unpaid internships out the wazoo and like make people pay to do things like all over the place. And like some of this the stuff that goes on in the sports industry, like stories I hear. So and obviously it's the reason it happens is because of sports and many people
Hmm.
want to work in sports and so that employers and the industry can kind of just like use that as a whole. So yeah, I would just say, obviously it's good to strive for your opportunities, but I'd say there's maybe a little countercultural is like know your worth. Like don't it's cool to network. Like if you need shadowing experience, do that. But it's cool to advocate for yourself. Like, your value. You're
Hmm.
not defined by like your job too. Like you can say no to things. And too, I just say this because being like happy with yourself and
Yeah.
being taking care of yourself financially and like uh mentally, physically, like being taken care of and being good then is what's going to make you the best broadcaster. So if you're just like saying yes to things all the time, not getting paid for
Yep.
things, like getting screwed over by people, like it's not going to do you any well.
Hmm.
So that's my parting advice.
I appreciate it, Jack. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ken.